Welcome to our podcast, Parenting by the Pint. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, Minivan Mafia. Lauren and I are longtime friends from Chicagoland that love getting together to chat about life, kids, family, and beer.
Each week, we'll feature a brewery and sample at least 2 of their beers.
We'll also discuss a variety of topics ranging from parenting, pop culture, travel, marriage, and just about anything else that comes to mind. Welcome, everybody. We took a tiny little break last week, and we're back with you guys this week. It was just too much excitement having Jeremy.
So many things going on.
Yeah.
Start of summer, so many things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're back, and we're going to try to, keep things going this summer and try some good beer and talk about our crazy lives.
Yep.
And how things affect us. Yeah. And this is no exception. We're going to drink from a brewery that I'm kind of surprised we haven't had yet, only because, I've actually had beer from this brewery before.
Yeah.
Great Lakes Brewing, which is from Cleveland, Ohio.
We did a number of Ohio beers, too.
I was going to say, we did a little jaunt out that way.
Not
when I
this one,
picked up
though.
my car, because my husband did a little road trip through Ohio, and we did not hit Great Lakes, which is weird. But we're going to do it. Now we're going to make up for it. So we're going to drink Tropicoastal, a tropical IPA. If you couldn't have guessed that from the name.
Yeah. We
So
decided
we're gonna start there.
to go back to some IPAs. It was just, it's been a long week. And,
we deserve it.
Yes.
It's our favorite. I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, clearly.
And, sometimes I just want to, maximize my enjoyment.
Sometimes it's like a comfort food, but it's a comfort beer.
Comfort beer.
Right?
Love
beer.
that. I love that. It's such a beautiful sentiment.
That's what we're doing right now. Comfort beer.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, Great Lakes Brewing Company.
Yeah, tell me about them.
They're actually the oldest, craft brewery in Ohio. So, weird thing. Breweries were around for a long time, and then they weren't as popular. So, a bunch of them closed before this, big, huge craft beer revival, And so, they actually opened in 1986.
Oh.
So, they've been around for a while.
That's a long time.
Yeah, in the craft beer world, it's definitely a long time.
It's an extremely long time in the craft beer world.
Yeah, so they, 2 Irish-American brothers, Pat and Dan, they actually recruited 2 former brewers from Christian Schmidt's, which was the last of Cleveland's operating breweries, actually. It was based out of Pennsylvania, but they had a production facility in Cleveland, and it closed in 1987. So they kind of stole their brewers and opened up Great Lakes Brewing. They wanted to develop beers in the style that the Conway brothers had enjoyed during their European travels. So they started with a lot of lagers. So some of their first ones were really lagers. They produced less than 1,000 barrels of keg beer their first year. They hand bottled their second year. But then they created a lager called the Dortmunder Lager and actually wound up winning gold medal at the Great American Beer Fest 3 years in a row in the early 90s.
Oh,
so
wow.
they started small and then they got really popular,
Sure.
So demand grew in the 90s with the popularity and the notoriety from winning gold medals. It's going to get you more noticed. They moved production to a new location. They actually kept the brew pub and tasting room, but they moved production to a new location, which was an old department store. They've since moved on from there, but they kept that building as well, which they call the Beer Symposium, which you can rent for events, for private events. They do tastings,
nice.
They do classes, all kinds of different. There's a visitor center there to learn about their history. So they still have multiple different kind of buildings around the Cleveland area, but not in the same purpose as they were when they first started.
Okay.
So, they've
I like
been
that
around.
idea, though.
Yeah.
Repurposing and keeping is kind of nice,
Yeah.
rather
Yeah.
than just kind of waving it off.
Well, and what's interesting is, so like they actually, I was going to say this later, but they're very interested in sustainability in general. So like
Okay.
they're super into recycling and composting. They have a restaurant on site. They compost all of their leftovers from the restaurant. They give their used barley to local farmers and bakeries in the area. They've also they've outfitted some of their trucks for biodiesel, and they actually use leftover vegetable oil from the restaurant to help with food deliveries
Wow.
in their truck. So they're hugely into like reuse, recycle, all of that
That's so
stuff.
cool.
They in the early 2000s they founded something called Pint Size Farm, but then a couple years later they joined a collective to form the Ohio City Farm that is supposed to be or thought to be one of the largest urban farms in the whole country. And they use that to grow different things, but super interesting. So they are really into all of that sustainability and reusing
Nice.
things in general, so not just their buildings, like across the board. So then they continued producing in their Where's the Beer Symposium now through much of the 90s before actually outgrowing that space as well. And they moved to their current location, which was once an old brewing company long ago. It was the Leonard Schlather Brewing Company, which was a brewery that opened in like the mid 1800s.
Whoa.
Went through Prohibition, and I think right around up to Prohibition, I think right around there is when they shut down. So it was a old building, old production facility, and that's the building that they are currently in. Again, reusing.
Yeah.
When they first started, they hand delivered beer to their local markets. They hand delivered it refrigerated, and they actually delivered them in coolers to places. So they would give a used cooler. So they gave a used cooler to their first retailer, which was West Point Market in Akron, Ohio. And they wanted to deliver things fresh, and they thought cold was the best way to do that.
Sure.
So, which is great. I agree. I mean, that's how I drink it. But there's not a lot of places that delivered it in that manner. Most of it's just room temperature, which makes a lot of sense because it's cheaper to do it that way. But they felt like they needed to be delivered how it should be consumed. So
I like that.
They started that way. Yeah, so, they continued to grow. By 2010, they actually had surpassed 100,000 barrels. So when they started, it was less than 1,000 barrels.
Wow.
And by 2010, it was over 100,000 barrels, which is ridiculous growth.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
So in 2018, it's cool. They introduced an employee stock ownership plan. So now their brewery staff are actually employee owners of the company.
Nice.
So kind of cool.
I like that.
Yeah. In 2020, they launched their first canning line, allowing them to distribute further, which is probably why we can get this here.
I was going to say, we got 2 cans on the table.
Yep, I bought them from my local bottle shop, so it's, their distribution's growing larger and larger. So pretty cool. Sadly, they did launch a line of seltzers like everybody else
Ew.
last year.
Gross.
I've heard of them. They're ranch water. And I have heard better things than some of the other larger seltzer places. I have never had them, so I cannot speak to if they are actually any better than the other ones.
I'll withhold my ew.
We're not drinking those tonight. So we're drinking IPAs because there are comfort beers, and that's what we need right now.
Yes,
So
that is perfect.
Great Lakes Brewing Company. Yeah, in 1986. I was like, oh, I didn't realize they'd been around for that long.
That is up there in
Yeah.
the craft beer world. That's crazy.
Yeah, at the time, they actually were the first brew pub and microbrewery to open, and they really, in Ohio, in all of Ohio, they really helped revive kind of the Cleveland area.
That's awesome.
So
That's really cool.
yeah, so it's a pretty cool story, pretty cool place. It's been around for a while, and they've done really well for themselves.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm
Cool.
gonna drink
Let's
this
drink
Tropic
Coastal.
Coastal. Tropical IPA. Make a splash landing into paradise.
I
A
gotta
hoppy
say,
hideaway.
I really like it. It's crisp and clean and simple. It's like not too bitter, but it has
It's got
a little bit
bite to it, like
a
at the
little
end.
bit of bite right on the finish.
Yes.
I think it's just like it's exactly what I needed. That's how I would describe it. It's exactly
really a
what I
perfect
needed.
IPA. Yeah, this totally solid. If all their beers that are that matching to the style that they're doing. Like, this is really good.
I know. It's very, very good. I'm really happy with this. So we started off great.
Fantastic. I
Right?
love it.
And now we're going to switch over and we're going to talk about, well, we're going to talk about silver linings, right?
I
mean,
like, yes.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the silver linings of the virus that will not be named. I will not say it. I've said it enough times in my lifetime that I'm done talking about it.
What good has come from our situation and the bad place?
Being in the bad place, there's got to be some good stuff,
Yep.
right? Because you won't feel the bad if you don't have good.
Yep, agreed.
Right?
Good point. Yeah.
You
So,
won't feel bad if you
what
didn't have good.
What good has come out of the last couple of years?
So I kind of inadvertently broke this up into two categories. And I didn't mean to do this, but when I initially was thinking about this idea of like, what were the good things? What were the silver linings? I thought of like conveniences. And
yeah.
for example, a big one that you and I have talked about before is theater rentals.
Which I just rented one for
Right.
Friday.
I just had one for 2 weeks ago or whatever.
I love it. It's fantastic.
Love it. It is like $200 and you can have 30 people.
Great.
And if you have a family plus maybe one other family, you've paid for the theater.
It's great. I love it.
And it's convenient and comfortable and it's laid back.
I don't have to worry about my oldest like walking around or making noise or whatever he's doing because it's just us.
Yes.
So it's great.
You can take your kid to the bathroom. They can talk to their friend during the
Yep.
movie. You can do whatever.
I love
You could
it.
zone out on your phone if you don't want to
Whatever.
watch the weird kids movie you're
Yeah,
going
and
to.
there's no strangers sitting around being weird, and yeah, it's great.
No,
I love it.
It's
That's-
just all upside. It's
Yes,
just all
totally.
upside. I love the theater rental. That is like a huge blessing.
Yes.
I will never, if they stop doing it, I will be very sad. I also did learn a little bit of a trick with the
Ooh.
theater rental that I'm going to share with you.
Mm.
I discovered that Costco sells gift cards for my local theater. And they sell $50 gift card for $40.
Oh, so you can save money even that way.
So I
That's
save money.
fantastic. It's a great idea. Honestly, I've rented numerous theaters now over the last couple of years, and not everyone knows you can even do that.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
a couple of my friends are like, "Oh, that's a thing," and I'm like, "It's totally a thing."
Yeah.
But
And
they're
you're
like,
like,
"Oh,
"Come
how
and-"
much is it?" And I was like, "If you get enough people, it's actually cheaper than
It
paying
is.
for a ticket."
It 100% is.
So, like, I think it equates, at least the one I just rented, it equates to like $8 a ticket or something, which I don't even know how much a movie ticket is nowadays, but I think adults is more than that.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
$10.50 or
It's
something. Like,
way more. It
so-
depends on the day. That's the crazy thing. I went to see a movie with a friend of mine, and we went on a weekday, and it wasn't too bad.
so like a Tuesday.
It was like
Tuesday's
a
the way to
Tuesday
go.
or a Thursday
But like
or something.
Friday, like new releases.
It's got to be like $16.
I'm sure it
I'm not
is.
exaggerating.
So I did the math because we're going to see Dominion because my kids are obsessed, and it's like $8
Yeah.
if we get people to go, and even if we don't get people to go, I don't even care because it's totally worth
honestly,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would honestly be content with going
Yeah,
with just my family
Sure.
and possibly a
Like
couple
us, a
people.
couple people.
Yeah,
It's
your family and my
totally
family.
perfect.
I would rent
Totally
a
be
theater
fine.
for that every time.
every time.
Yeah.
I'm totally doing this. I hope they never get rid of it.
I would, yes, I will do
on
it
the top
almost
of my
monthly.
list of things that have come out of this pandemic is
So that's
that.
a good one. That's a
I
really
love
good
it.
one.
Love it.
Uh,
Yes.
You mentioned curbside pickup. I think you use curbside pickup more than I do, or did maybe. But
I still do. Last week I did it.
yeah,
Yeah. My
But
kids don't want to
curbside
get out of the
pickup
car
is
because
so great.
Ugh.
I like it at Target.
I do that.
I
I
know-
actually was at Target the last time I did it.
I know that Target's kind of had those like parking spots for a while, but I never used like the parking spot. I always just like went into the counter and got my stuff.
Got your stuff.
And now in the last 2 years,
Mhm.
I have definitely done the thing where I just
opened
check in on my
trunk,
phone
and they put
and
it
they just
in.
put it in there.
It's great.
And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And everybody does curbside. Even my shop had an option for you to call us when you arrived if
the
you didn't want to
liquor
come in.
store you can curbside
I
pick
know.
up. Like
That's bomb.
literally. And it's great because like today my twins were like, you're going to the beer store, Mom? And I was like, yep, we are. I'm like, but I know what I'm getting. But yeah, like, I think if it's just me, I don't mind running into a store.
Sure.
But when I have all 3 kids with me,
It's hard.
It's so much easier to order it online. And Target, I love because it's ready in like an hour.
I know,
so like
right?
if I
They
need a
have
birthday present and it's there, it's like order it. You could even pick out a card and they just bring it to your car.
Yeah,
and it's
right?
fantastic.
When we went to your kid's birthday party, that is literally how it played out.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, it's ready to go. Let's go.
Yep, it's
was
perfect. I know. I'm all for that. So that is another thing that I am. It's made my life easier.
Absolutely.
No matter what
The
situation
condition
we're in,
the world is
it's
in.
made my life easier. So
Absolutely.
I'm again all for that as well.
In the same vein, I would like to add to-go meals from restaurants.
Oh.
We did this off and on when things were like kind of super locked down.
Yeah.
But even more recently, my husband and I, we had our floors redone in our house.
Oh, yes.
And so we weren't cooking.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to just eat like fast food every
you
night.
don't want McDonald's and
that'll
Burger
kill
King
you.
6 days. Yeah.
So there was a couple of times where we ordered food from a restaurant and we just weren't feeling like going out. We don't want to go
I
out
totally get it.
tonight.
Yeah.
But we do want to eat a nicer meal.
Yeah.
And we ordered to-go meals from restaurants. And it was really nice to be able to just like, they pack it all up for you and you just open it and
So much more
eat.
common now. Like, obviously, there's a lot of places that did carry out before, and that was a regular occurrence. But, even places that deliver, like the Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, Postmates blew up in the last few years.
Yeah.
And there were always some options, but I feel like there's so many more choices now.
Yes.
So before you could get Chinese
great.
food, pizza, and Mexican. Like there
That was
weren't
kinda
as many.
it. Yeah.
Now, I mean, you can order so many different things.
Anything. Basically
For takeout.
anything.
Pretty much everything you can get takeout now.
You have a good chance of looking up a restaurant you like and finding out they deliver in some
Yes.
fashion.
Yeah.
Than the other way around.
Yes.
Being like, I want Chinese, and then going the other direction.
We get sushi delivered like on a regular basis. Even if my husband and I are just sitting after the kids go to bed and neither of us want to leave the house or the couch, like we've ordered Cold Stone, like ice cream delivered.
Sure.
And I don't even have
Nice.
to talk to you. You just leave it on my bench. And I don't even have to do anything. There's nothing required of me other than sitting on my phone and ordering it. And which I'm sure has made a lot of people gain some weight, but it's also incredibly
Right.
convenient because life is hard and kids are hard and everything. And
I know that.
it's just nice that we have more options now for conveniences,
Right.
Which is great. Those are lots of different things. One of the things for me personally, which I know a lot of people are in the same boat, is that there's a lot more work from home options.
Sure.
And obviously
Yes.
not everyone, like my husband's, a fireman, he can't work from home.
Right.
That's not an option.
Yeah.
But for us, we had toyed with the idea of letting people work from home maybe one day a week or maybe once in a while. And it jumped to we've been working from home for the last 2 years, and I still do go into the office every week, but it's much more reasonable for people to work from home, and it's made my childcare situation infinitely easier.
Right.
And it's made a lot of different things for me much easier, being able to do that and being much more flexible. I think overall a lot of workplaces have realized they need to be more flexible and more understanding.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned this specific thing because it kind of carries over into my other little category of silver linings that came out of this. And I feel like people give each other more grace now. We have more patience for each other.
Yeah.
You allow for life to be a part of this experience. Like, I deal in a business where we try to meet really tight deadlines when we get orders from customers. And there are times where a customer will call me and be like, what's the status of my order? And I'll be like, supply has been a huge issue lately. We were waiting for material. It just came in today. I'm trying to stay on target with your order, but it might go out tomorrow instead.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago, if I had said that to a customer, they would have screamed at me and slammed down the phone.
Yeah.
And now people are like, oh, it happens. I get it. Everyone's got supply issues.
Understanding.
Yes. And I feel like this whole situation has caused people to be that way. Flexibility with employers, letting people have more scheduling flexibility or location flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Just having a little more humanity in general, I feel like.
Well, and this is kind of what I mean by the grander sense. In the grander sense, I think one of the upsides has been that we've become a little bit more considerate.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I know there are people who would maybe argue that not everyone behaves
You're
that
never
way.
going to get 100%. I'm just going to willing to take incremental changes.
But on the whole, my experience in this regard has been pretty good.
Yeah.
You still run across the occasional irrational
you're
person.
Always going to.
Yes.
But if we can incrementally be better to each other, then that's a win in my book.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, another thing in terms of like work is I feel like in my careers, a couple places that I have worked, whenever I'm sick or I call in sick or people call in sick, like they feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like this has given people a reason to be like, I can't come in.
Yes.
Like I'm not and I can't. I have an employee this week, actually. Her daughter has COVID and she's like, I won't be in until next week. I can't send her to daycare for 5 days.
Yeah.
And I was like, all
Okay.
right, we'll talk to you on Monday. Like
What are you
there's
gonna do?
no questions. Like
this is the situation.
This is what it is. And I would have been fine with it anyways, but I feel like it gives people that like feeling like it's okay. Like it's okay if I stay home sick. Like there's a
Right.
lot of people that literally would go to work sick no matter what because they
Right.
felt like they had to.
Yes.
And with this, I feel like it made people take a look at the fact that like, no, you shouldn't do that. Like
No.
even if you don't have it and you're just sick, you should just stay home.
I was going to say the same exact thing and almost kind of from the counterbalance of that and say that, employers giving people grief for taking time off or employees feeling guilty about taking time off for illness, like, is also from the perspective of having consideration for people where you're sick and you don't want to get other
I don't want to
people
be
sick.
around anyone that's sick.
Just don't, I
It's
remember
fine. You can go home.
going to work really sick
Oh, yeah.
years
Oh,
ago.
for sure.
Really sick, like
Yeah.
barely hanging on.
I get it.
And there were times where other employees were like kind of hesitant to be near me
Right,
and
because
everything.
they know you're sick.
And I would get like, come on, whatever,
Right.
And nowadays, you would never react that way to
No.
somebody like being like, dude, you should go home. Like you would just go, yeah, you're probably right. I should
Yeah.
go home.
But
Like, I
that's
shouldn't be here.
probably how it should have been and never was. So, like, that made us kind of reassess that mindset of, oh, wait, like, this is not, also, work is not my life. Like,
Well,
I
yeah.
need to get better, and that should be the priority.
My health and other people's health
Yes,
matter.
Yes.
And that's
yeah.
great. That's a huge bonus.
I think
to
so.
this.
I really
think
do.
so.
Also, people wash their hands more now.
Oh,
I
geez,
feel like
right.
that was never a thing. Like, people just had less regard for
It
their
does
own.
make it a lot easier for me to talk my kids into washing their
Ooh,
hands.
good call, good call.
Because I can
Yeah.
be like, people get sick when they don't wash their hands, and I have actual evidence of that
Yes.
to show them.
So now,
which
yeah.
I know you can argue I would have had before,
Sure,
of
but
course.
now it's so
But they feel that, so you can use it
yes
to your
now,
benefit.
On the I'm going to use this to my benefit thing, I feel like there's a positive for two different ways. So let me explain. So we've had a lot more time with like our immediate family.
Mm-hmm.
We for a while like we spent more time with our kids. Maybe I didn't pick up any hobbies, but some people did. I know some people who started crocheting or different things. Like I didn't do any of that, but I did spend a lot of time with my kids, and we watched a lot of family movies, or we,
Sure.
played games of chess or whatever. So like that's a nice thing. But on the complete opposite side, if there's family members who I didn't actually want to see, I totally had an out to be like,
know.
oh, sorry, one of my kids has this. And I know that's horribly using it for a bad reason, but it gives nobody questions. It gives
Yeah.
you an easy, like, I can't make it because whatever.
Yeah.
And good, bad, or otherwise, it's something that you can utilize to say, I don't really want to spend time with my third cousin's brother, who I see once a year, and I'd rather sit at home with my kids and watch a movie. So I'm going to do that instead.
Yeah.
And I have a easy way to say, oh, I can't make it. And I guess that's using something for evil, but it is what it is. It's on my list anyway.
But you realized that this quality time with your immediate family was so enjoyable. It's
more beneficial to
and
us.
I think, I'm 40 now and you're about to be.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm getting at. Like, you reach a point in your life where you prioritize your time.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
I don't want to put it into such terms that I'm going to do something only if I truly want to, but in some ways,
I'm going to do something. I mean,
that's true.
It also, I guess, has made me think about what are the things that I really want to spend my time and effort doing.
Right.
And a lot of those things are with my kids or with my close friends.
Sure.
But not necessarily with my friends that I see once a year and don't actually care about. You know what I mean? Or they're not even friends at that point. They're just acquaintances. But, my husband always gave me a hard time. Like, I overplan things. And part of that is I don't do it as much anymore. We just have so many things with 3 children and our crazy schedules.
Right.
But I don't say yes to as many like, oh, so-and-so said we should come do this. Because if I don't really want to, and I'm not really going to enjoy myself, and our kids aren't like,
don't want to go all the way in on that,
then I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I'm reevaluating the things that I want to say yes to.
Yeah.
And if it's
good.
people that my kids don't even know, then I'm probably not going to say yes.
Yeah.
If my kids don't know you because we haven't seen you in however long, like my kids know your kids. Like, they know the people that we spend time with on a relatively regular basis. But, like, if you've never met my kids, and it's not like you live in another state or something. Obviously, like, our friend from college came in, and I haven't seen her in 2 years, so we went out to lunch. But if you live within a half an hour of my house, and I haven't seen you and my kids don't know you, the odds of me saying, yes, I'm going to go spend some time with you
are pretty low.
Then you're not on the top of my priority list.
Well, and it's not terrible to take into consideration your kids' desire to be around whoever you're going to make
old
plans
enough now
with.
that, like, I'm not forcing them to go. Well, I don't force them to hug anybody, but, like, I'm not forcing them to go and spend time with people that.
I mean, if my kids didn't want to go to your house last week and swim in your pool because they don't like playing with your kids, we wouldn't have come.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, what do you want me to say?
Yep.
My son is almost 11.
Yeah.
If there's some semi-reasonable explanation, maybe he doesn't relate because they're younger. Maybe he just doesn't want to.
Totally. I get it. Yeah.
I would just say, you know what? He's not really feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shove him in the car to do this.
I'm not going to force them or myself to spend as much time with people that, like, I don't enjoy your company. And I feel like previously, if someone invited us to something, I had a more like, oh, we should probably try, and now I'm like, if I really just have no desire to spend time with you,
just won't.
I'm not going to. Like, I don't have that. I'm reprioritizing things in my life of what's actually important.
Absolutely.
And I think that's just a different mindset than it was before.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I get that.
I think that's a positive thing.
Yeah, I think examining your life and what makes you happy is definitely a positive thing.
Yeah. The only other, one of the only other things that I actually liked are unique experiences. So, like, we went to a concert that was like drive-in style.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we sat in the back of the truck
this.
And they played on a stage and on Jumbotron, and it was really cool, So, like, some different unique things
cool.
like that just didn't happen before because there was no need for it. But I was like, this is fun. Like, even if it was normal times, if it's now, like, I would still do that. Like, it's something different and unique to do.
Well, even patio dining. I'm not a huge outdoor eating fan, but I will say that when we were going through a period where there really was no other option, and I don't want to say, because I didn't have a choice, but I had times where I really enjoyed being outside. The weather was nice.
Yes.
And you were with your family. And I really enjoyed having a pizza or whatever. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice. And I like those experiences that I would definitely not have had otherwise.
Well,
I
that's
guarantee
true.
you.
It kind
I
of
would not have
forced
done that.
us to try new things or try different things that maybe we wouldn't have before.
Yeah.
So many more movies are still streaming very quickly online.
Yes.
Like very fast. So you might not be able to see something at home in the first few weeks, but like within a month, half of them are already somewhere streaming.
I know.
So it's like, oh, okay, I didn't get a chance to go to the movies. Oh, but look, it's here. I can just get it on HBO Max.
Right.
And that's very convenient and nice, because with us, like, sometimes we don't have the chance to like go on a date night, and we don't and we don't want to just sit and fall asleep and watch the same thing we've watched over and over again,
I get that, yeah.
It's nice to be able to say, oh great, I can watch this movie, or we can even plan it. Half the time it says, oh, it's in the theaters this day, it's in streaming a month later. You can be like, all
put
right,
it on the calendar. We're gonna watch this movie this night. We've done that.
We've totally done that. And we've done, at home date nights because we can. We can order food that we like, and we can watch a movie that we want to, and we can do it all from the comfort of our own home when the kids go to bed.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So,
and you enjoy each other's company, which is really the key.
Which is great. Yeah. Like last week we tried to go on a date night, and our oldest was just not having it. So we actually got halfway there, and the babysitter's like, do you have to come home? And we were like, all right. But, we have more flexibility in that, okay, great, the kids are in bed. Let's still do something, just the two of us, that we do enjoy.
Yeah.
And not, just the same thing over and over again. So I've definitely, I asked my husband this question. He's like, nothing. There's a net negative to this whole thing. And I was like, that was not the point. I get that if you're looking at the overall, I'm asking you to pull out the little glimmers of light that are positives
I think we did
out
that.
of this.
I think we did a really good job.
So,
with
Mr.
that.
Negative, not so much. But I personally feel like there are some positives that came out of this.
I will say, to kind of echo Brandon's feelings a little bit, there was a time during this when traffic was
much better. Yes, I agree with that.
That goes along with your whole like work from home thing.
Yeah.
It was such a blessing. I live about 35 to 40 minutes away from my job.
Yeah.
In the car. And there were times where I got to work in 30.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know if you don't drive like that every day, you probably don't think there's much of a difference. But 5 minutes each way is 10 minutes each day is almost an hour.
No, I
week.
get it. When there was nobody in my office, like it was like 5 of us out of 1,200.
Man.
I mean, like the warehouse was always there, but our office was dead. I mean, it was pitch black when I got in the morning. But there was no traffic. I mean, it takes me a good 45 minutes, maybe longer, to get to work. But there's some days that I made it in like 35 minutes.
Isn't that great?
Because there was nobody. Like, I didn't see barely any cars. And I was like, this is amazing. And then people started going back. And now I'm sitting in traffic on 290 West trying to get on that stupid ramp.
It's worse than ever before, you guys.
So much.
There's so much construction on
That's
my
the
commute.
part of the problem. There's so much construction literally everywhere I go.
I think that's another thing, is that there wasn't as much. They took a break because, just like anyone, jobs were in flux, and they probably didn't have people out there.
True. Now it's full swing. Literally.
Oh, it's like we're making up for lost time.
Yes. There's construction everywhere.
My exit on the highway is closed for like 3 more months.
Ugh.
And I like, my will to live when I drive home is like almost non-existent.
Yeah.
I just like could barely survive it.
We at work, so we're on there's one road to get to my job. Like it's in front, it's a frontage road off the expressway.
Right.
Okay. They're building ramps onto and off of that. It's literally called County Line Road.
Yeah.
And they're going to block off one side to get to my work. So there's road here. Literally one way in. That's it. There's one road. That's the only way to get to work. There's literally 1,200 people that go to that building if we're all in the office. So we're not, but there's at least 900, maybe 8-ish hundred people that have to get there every day. Okay. They're shutting down half of the way to get in because of these ramps. I'm like, I don't want to go.
No.
I don't want to go at all.
Have been
I'm going to have to
struggling.
add like a good 15 minutes to my commute to go around
get there. Yeah.
because I have to go past it and come back now.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so upset about this.
That I
Anyways,
totally
that's
feel
not
your
the point
pain.
of our discussion, but
This is what Brandon would be talking
this
about
is
if he was
totally
here
we're
today.
channeling my husband.
Sorry,
but
everybody.
it was very nice when we weren't in the midst of traffic. That was better.
Yeah, the break from construction and traffic was awesome.
Yes,
I
was
enjoyed
a
it very
fan.
much.
I was a fan. All right, we're gonna drink
Switch
Chill
gears.
Wave. All right, we just gotta chill a little bit, guys.
Yeah.
Imperial IPA. This is their double IPA, 9% ABV. It's
That's
a double.
hefty for a double.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
for
even
a double, that's big.
It's inspired by the North Coast surf community. So I have no idea. I've never had this, so I
have not either.
I'm intrigued, and we shall see. That's a whole lot of bubble right there.
Yeah, you got some foam in yours,
Got a lot
friend.
of foam. Got a lot of head here. Ooh, look at that color.
It's very amber.
This is super unique.
Yeah.
All right.
I expected, yellow or even maybe a little
Yeah.
bit hazy. I wasn't sure. I hadn't looked at the can yet to see if
Yeah.
it was.
Mm.
It is neither of those things.
It
It
is
is not
neither of
yellow.
those.
It is not
I don't
hazy.
even know what a North Coast community inspired IPA is.
Okay.
Let's
Let's drink an Imperial IPA, shall we?
give it a shot. I gotta get through my
Oh,
head.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna be willing to be corrected on this. Back in the day, back in my early craft beer days, I used to drink a lot of Three Floyds.
Oh yeah.
And they had obviously Zombie Dust, which is something that, and it's not an Imperial, so follow me,
No.
guys. Just hold on. I used to drink a lot of Zombie Dust, and Zombie Dust was great. And anyone will tell you that when Zombie Dust was in its prime, it was just perfect.
Oh no, when it was fresh and you got it from the brewery and you just picked up a case.
It was like fruit off the vine. It was so
Agreed.
good.
That's what I started on. Really was
Yeah.
Zombie Dust. Yep.
Yeah, me too. If you really want to get down to it. Obviously, I drank from other breweries before them, but I
Sure.
think my first real love might have been Zombie Dust. And they had a beer, Three Floyds had a beer called Arctic Panzer Wolf.
Oh my gosh, I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Holy cow.
And I think Arctic Panzer Wolf was an Imperial IPA.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to look it up right now while we're talking so I can check my...
Imperial IPA is typically around 8% ABV, so it's a little higher.
I was right. It
and
says
it's
Imperial.
Imperial, and it's like a medium straw to medium amber color, with hop and flavors and aromas that are high but not aggressively bitter. Which I think is a pretty good depiction of this. Like it's
This
a
is-
strong flavor.
Yeah.
On the end actually isn't as much bite to me. It's more of an upfront.
Yeah, I agree. So you get that little kick from the high alcohol kind of at the forefront rather than at the tail end. Whereas like on the IPA, the regular IPA, you get the
Get it in
hoppy
yeah.
bite at the end. But yes, I just looked up Arctic Panzer Wolf, you guys. I'm very excited to tell you that I was right.
Nice.
And this is the same style. And I haven't had an Arctic Panzer Wolf in
Oh my gosh.
probably a decade. So I'm
yeah.
very excited that I was right about
I
that.
definitely have not. Yeah. It's been a very long time.
But it's been a very long time since I've had an Imperial IPA.
Me too.
Which is different than a double IPA.
It is, yeah.
So I'm pleasantly surprised. This is really good. I think I strayed away from Imperial IPAs for a while because they're so strong.
They are very strong. That is definitely accurate. But it's a good, and maybe not all the time, but definitely once in a while. This is a pretty solid.
Yeah.
This I don't regret the decision.
Me
of
neither.
that.
This was the right choice. I feel good about it. I'm glad that we went from the regular one to the Imperial.
Yes.
Always a good choice.
Oh, well, yeah, clearly. But they're both good in their own way, too. Just because this isn't, I said, I've got 2 IPAs, but one's this, one's that. This is a perfect depiction of how IPA isn't an IPA isn't an IPA.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
there are so many different styles within an IPA
Yes.
that have completely different aromas, different tastes, all very different. So if you don't like one IPA, that does not mean anything. That means you don't like one IPA.
Right.
You know, and
Well, my brother feels that way. My brother would love Tropicoastal, but he would not like Chill Wave. I guarantee it.
which is fine. They're very different even under an IPA umbrella.
Yes.
I personally like both. Obviously I could drink more of the first one. It's definitely more of a drinkable because it's
Sure.
a less ABV,
Yeah.
not as strong, but I mean, they both have their place, you know. So I'm still happy with both of these.
I think that I'm very glad we went for comfort beer tonight.
Comfort beer.
I'm
I
very
love
happy
it.
about that.
I am too. This is exactly what I needed.
Me too.
All right, great.
Thanks for joining us, you guys, and thanks for joining me, Lauren.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening to the latest musings from Parenting by the Pint.
Be sure to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to us wherever you find your podcasts.
Have a great week and cheers to you all.